You've entered Interstellar Chronicles. Close your eyes and drift into another world, a place where stars whisper forgotten names, where time folds and destinies collide across galaxies. Your journey begins now. After the collapse, his starship stall feeds the galaxy, surrounded by a hungry alien Maid offering HFY sci-fi story. The galaxy unfurled like an endless tapestry of fractured light, its spiral arms a mosaic of stars that burned with cold, unyielding brilliance, each a silent sentinel to the passage of eons, their glow a testament to the universe's vast indifference. The Concord of Spheres, a coalition of alien civilizations, wove miracles from the fabric of reality, ships that sang through hyperspace, their hulls woven from quantum filaments that shimmered like liquid starlight, bending time and space with a hum that echoed the cosmos. Cities sculpted from living crystal that pulsed with the memories of ancient stars, their spires singing in harmonic resonance, their walls whispering tales of forgotten worlds, and neural networks that spanned light years, binding minds in a dance of thought and power that transcended flesh, a symphony of consciousness that wove the galaxy's myriad voices into one. Their quantum forges birthed stars, their biocircuits thrummed like heartbeats, and their archives held the dreams, fears, and triumphs of species long extinct, their stories etched in light and code. To the Concord, humanity was a fleeting whisper, a species of soft flesh and ephemeral lives, clinging to the galactic fringe like moss on a forgotten stone, their colonies scattered across barren worlds like seeds on sterile soil. Humans were tolerated, their emotional volatility deemed weakness, their physical frailty a curiosity at best, a liability at worst. Their lives, brief as a comet's arc, were seen as quaint experiments, destined to flicker out like candles in the cosmic wind, their dreams too small to matter. Yet, in the shadow of this disdain, one man would rewrite the galaxy's assumptions, not with swords or starships, but with the alchemy of a meal, the fire of a stubborn heart, and a love that burned brighter than the stars themselves, a flame that would kindle hope in the darkest reaches of the void, a light that would defy the cold indifference of the cosmos. The ecliptic spire hung in orbit above Therion, a violet gas giant whose storms churned like liquid amethyst, their swirling patterns a hypnotic dance of chaos and beauty, each vortex a story of creation and destruction, each hue a whisper of the galaxy's untamed heart. The station was a marvel of Zanari engineering, a cathedral of translucent crystal and pulsing plasma, its spires catching Therion's light in a kaleidoscope of violet, sapphire, and gold that seemed to breathe with life, their glow a beacon in the void. Its halls thrummed with the hum of quantum generators, their vibrations a low hymn that resonated in the bones, a reminder of the station's power and fragility, its beauty a fragile defiance against the galaxy's vastness. The air was thick with the scent of alien spices, sulfuri vapor spice, sharp and fleeting, like a comet's breath, its tang a spark of life. Voric crystal salt, heavy with the mineral weight of ancient seas, its flavor a memory of worlds long drowned. And Therion glowfruit, tart and radiant, its aroma a beacon of hope in the sterile void, a scent that spoke of life persisting against all odds. The diplomatic summit hosted representatives from a dozen species. Sulfuri, their gaseous forms shimmering with bioluminescent thoughts that shifted like auroras, each hue a word in their silent language, each pulse of thought shared across the void. Voric, their crystalline bodies refracting light into prismatic hymns that echoed through the chambers, their facets chiming like bells, their voices a harmony of light and sound. And Zanari, scaled warriors whose fractal armored elegance commanded awe and fear in equal measure, their presence a silent promise of strength, their scales a mirror of the stars. The summit was a delicate dance of power, each gesture calculated, each word a thread in the fragile web of galactic peace, a tapestry woven from ambition, mistrust, and the faint hope of unity, its threads trembling under the weight of 1,000 worlds. At the heart of the Zanari delegation stood Vera Thal, a maid of the Starlance household, her sapphire scales gleaming like a nebula under her sleek, ceremonial uniform, its fabric woven from bio-threads that pulsed faintly with quantum light, each thread a testament to Zanari craftsmanship. 7 feet tall, her lithe frame moved with a dancer's grace, each step a silent promise of strength, each glance a blade of intent that cut through pretense and weakness alike. Her golden eyes burned with quiet intensity, twin embers that saw through bravado and fear, their glow a reflection of her unyielding spirit, a fire that burned beneath her disciplined exterior. Her plasma whip, coiled at her hip, was etched with fractal runes that pulsed with quantum energy, a weapon as elegant as it was deadly, its hum a whisper of restrained power, a song of controlled fury. To the Zanari, maids were more than servants. They were guardians of tradition, trained in combat, etiquette, and the ancient codes that bound their society across centuries. Their loyalty a blade honed by discipline, their lives a testament to service. Vera was a living paradox, a warrior bound by deference, her strength tempered by duty, her heart buried under layers of training that had been forged in the crucible of Zanari culture, a culture that valued strength above all, that saw emotion as a crack in the armor of survival. To her, humans were an enigma, their emotional openness a sign of fragility, their brief lives a flicker against the Zanari's centuries-long existence, their softness a puzzle she couldn't solve. She had seen humans before, small, soft, scurrying creatures who broke under pressure, their voices trembling, their eyes wide with fear. But none had ever held her gaze. None had ever stirred the curiosity she kept locked behind her stoic facade. A curiosity she dared not acknowledge, a spark she feared to name. Then there was Elias Kane, a human star chef whose name was a quiet legend in galactic markets, whispered in the spice bazaars of Silphra, the crystal halls of Vorik Prime, and the neural networks of the Concord's trade hubs, where traders spoke of dishes that could make even the stoic Zanari pause. Elias was no soldier, no diplomat, just a man with a fusion stove and a gift for turning alien ingredients into dishes that could make a Silphari pause. Their thoughts glowing brighter, or a Vorik weep, their facets chiming with unexpected emotion, their crystalline hearts stirred by flavors they couldn't name. His apron, smudged with spices from a dozen worlds, Therian glowfruit, tart and radiant, like a star's heart, Silphari vapor spice, sharp as a comet's tail, fleeting and bold, Vorik crystal salt, heavy with the weight of ancient seas, its flavor a memory of worlds long gone, was his armor, a patchwork of stories from a life spent wandering, a canvas of survival. His calloused hands, scarred from Earth's ruins, were his tools, each mark a testament to battles fought with fire and knife, each line a chapter of resilience written in the ashes of a broken world. He'd been hired to cater the summit, his portable kitchen a marvel of human ingenuity, blending Earth's lost cuisines, smoky street food from forgotten cities, hearty stews from winters long gone, breads baked in the shadow of ruin, with exotic flavors that spoke to alien palates, that crossed the boundaries of species and stars. His dishes were more than food. They were memories, each bite a fragment of a world that had crumbled but not vanished, a world he carried in his heart, a world he shared with every plate. Elias had learned to cook in the ashes of Earth's collapse, feeding survivors in makeshift camps while raiders prowled, their fires casting shadows on broken walls, their hunger a weight he could ease with a bowl of soup or a crust of bread, their hope a flame he could kindle with a meal. Out here, among the stars, he was a wanderer, his fusion stove his home, his flavors a bridge between worlds, a language that spoke of hope, defiance, and the stubborn persistence of life. The summit was in full swing, the chamber alive with the hum of diplomacy, the air thick with the scent of Elias's dishes, glowfruit tarts, their golden crusts glistening like miniature suns, vapor spice broths, their steam rising like Silphari thoughts, swirling with flavor, crystal salt breads, their crunch a reminder of resilience. When a hollow projector sparked and died mid-speech, plunging the room into awkward silence, the galactic map it had been projecting, a radiant web of trade routes, contested zones, and fragile alliances, flickered out, its stars fading into darkness, leaving diplomats muttering in annoyance, their voices a cacophony of harmonics, chimes, and hisses. Elias, who'd been adjusting his stove nearby, its burners glowing with the soft hum of fusion coils, stepped forward, toolbox in hand, his brown eyes calm under the weight of alien stares, his apron smudged with glowfruit juice and vapor spice dust. The human ambassador, Hargrove, A wiry man with a nervous tic and sweat beading on his brow tried to deflect the growing tension, his voice cracking under the pressure. "We'll have it fixed shortly," he stammered, glancing at Elias with a mix of hope and desperation, his hands twisting in nervous knots, his eyes pleading for a miracle. "He's capable." Vera's gaze sliced to Elias, sharp as a plasma edge, her golden eyes narrowing, her tail flicking with a Zenari smirk that spoke of both curiosity and disdain. "This is your solution?" she asked, her voice a low, resonant hum, her translator dripping with amusement, its tone a blade wrapped in silk, cutting through the air. "Your kind sends a cook to mend machines?" Pargrove fumbled, his hands twisting tighter, his voice faltering, his face flushed with embarrassment. "He's versatile, Mistress Stow." "Elias is versatile." Vera's tail flicked again, her smirk deepening, her scales catching the light like a nebulous edge, shimmering with a beauty that was both alluring and intimidating. "He looks like he'd faint stirring a pot under pressure." Laughter rippled through the aliens, Sci-Fi glowing brighter, their forms pulsing with amusement, their thoughts swirling in vibrant hues of mirth, evoric facets chiming like bells, their prismatic light dancing on the crystal walls, their voices a harmony of mockery. Even the Zenari guards exchanged glances, their tails curling in shared amusement, their golden eyes glinting with disdain. Elias, crouched by the projector, didn't flinch. His hands moved with quiet precision, stripping wires and rerouting circuits, his fingers steady despite the weight of their stares, his brown eyes focused, betraying no hint of the pressure he felt, no sign of the laughter that echoed around him. The narrator's voice, warm and resonant, filled the listener's mind, its cadence a steady heartbeat, a pulse of defiance. Elias Kane knew the sting of being unseen. On Earth, he'd been the kid who turned scraps into feasts, who fed his family when the world burned, who cooked under the shadow of ruin while raiders prowled, their shadows long and hungry. Out here, among the stars, he was a speck. But specks can spark fires, and Elias carried a flame the galaxy hadn't yet glimpsed, a fire that burned in his hands, in his heart, in the meals he crafted to defy the dark. The projector whirred to life, its light flooding the chamber with a radiant map of the galaxy, its stars and routes pulsing with renewed clarity, their colors vibrant against the crystal walls, a tapestry of light that spoke of hope and connection. Diplomats applauded, their murmurs shifting from mockery to mild surprise. A few Sci-Fi drifting closer to Elias's kitchen, drawn by the aroma of his glow-fruit tarts, their thoughts glowing with curiosity, their forms swirling with intrigue. Vera's golden eyes lingered on him, her expression unreadable, a flicker of curiosity breaking through her disdain, like a crack in a crystal facade, a spark in the dark. He met her gaze for a fleeting moment, offering a small, easy grin, his brown eyes bright with quiet defiance, a spark of mischief that challenged her assumptions. Then he returned to his stove, where the scent of roasting glowfruit and vapor spice filled the air, a quiet rebellion against the galaxy's cold indifference, a testament to the power of a single human's heart. She scoffed softly, her tail curling thoughtfully, her scales shimmering in the dim light, her golden eyes narrowing as if trying to solve a puzzle. A novelty, she thought, the human who doesn't cower, curious but fleeting, a spark that will burn out. Days later, the spire shuddered under a brutal assault, its crystal walls trembling like a living thing in pain, its spires cracking under the weight of an unseen enemy. The Clythar, a rogue faction of insectoid zealots, struck without warning, their bioships swarming like locusts, their exoskeletons glistening with bioluminescence that pulsed in eerie unison, a grotesque mockery of the stars, their claws tearing through crystal holes with a screech that chilled the soul. Their screeches were a nightmare chorus, drowning out the alarms, their hive-mind coordination a relentless tide that overwhelmed even the Zenari's precision, their movements a synchronized dance of destruction. Translation fields collapsed into static, their harmonics fracturing into discordant wails, a cacophony of chaos as diplomats scrambled for escape pods, their robes and forms a chaotic blur of panic, their voices a tangle of fear and desperation. Vera, trained for combat despite her maid's title, uncoiled her plasma whip, its arcs of light slicing through Clythar drones with lethal precision, each strike a flare of defiance, each hum a song of controlled fury. Her scales gleamed with sweat, her movements a deadly ballet, her golden eyes burning with a fire that matched her whip's flame, her tail flicking with focus, her body a weapon honed by centuries of discipline. But the Clythar's numbers were relentless, their drones pouring through breaches in the hull, their claws leaving trails of molten crystal in their wake, their screeches a storm that threatened to drown all hope. Elias, caught in the chaos while delivering a tray of vapor-spiced tarts to a panicked Sylphari diplomat, found himself trapped in a collapsing corridor with Vera and a handful of survivors. 2 Sylphari, their forms dim with terror, their bioluminescence flickering like dying stars, their thoughts swirling with panic, and Avoric, its crystalline body trembling, its facets dull with despair, its voice a discordant chime that spoke of surrender. "We're doomed," the Voric whimpered, its facets dimming further, its light fading like a star on the brink of collapse, its voice a mournful chime. "The human will break first. Look at him, shaking like a leaf." Elias was trembling, his hands slick with sweat as he clutched his toolbox, the tray of tarts abandoned on the floor, their aroma mingling with the acrid stench of burning metal and the sharp tang of ozone, a faint reminder of hope in the chaos. Clythar claws scratched at the walls, their screeches echoing like a storm, the air thick with heat and fear, the corridor's crystal walls cracking, their light fading, the station's hum faltering as power flickered. But the narrator's voice cut through the panic, steady and warm, its cadence a lifeline, a pulse of defiance. Fear was an old companion to Elias Kane. He'd felt it in Earth's ruins, cooking for starving families while bombs fell, raiders circling like wolves, their shadows long and hungry. He'd faced it in the dark, with nothing but a knife and a fire to hold back the night, with nothing but a meal to hold back despair. Fear didn't rule him, it never had. "Mistress thou," Elias said, his voice steady despite his shaking hands, his brown eyes meeting her golden ones, unwavering despite the chaos, burning with a quiet resolve. "The blast door's motor is shot, but I can bypass it manually. I need 3 minutes." Vera spun, her whip crackling, its light casting shadows that danced like specters on the walls, her golden eyes narrowing, her tail flicking sharply. "You, a chef?" Her voice was sharp, but there was a flicker of doubt in her tone, as if his calm defiance had caught her off guard. A crack in her certainty, a spark in her disciplined heart. "You'll die before you start." "Maybe," Elias said, already prying open the control panel, his fingers deft despite the chaos, moving with the same precision he used to dice glow fruit or temper vapor spice, each motion a quiet act of rebellion, a testament to his stubborn heart. "But if I don't try, we're all dead." She stared, her tail stilling, a rare sign of focus among the Zenari, her golden eyes searching his face, finding something she hadn't expected. Resolve, quiet but unyielding, a strength that didn't roar but burned, a fire that defied her understanding of humans. The galaxy seemed to pause, the screech of Clythar claws fading for a heartbeat, the air heavy with the weight of their shared fate, the hum of her whip a counterpoint to the chaos. Then she nodded, her whip flashing faster, carving arcs of light through the drones, her scales glinting like a shield in the flickering light, her movements a deadly dance of precision and fury. 3 minutes, human. Don't waste them." Vera held the drones at bay, her whip a blur of plasma, its hum a counterpoint to the Clythar's screeches, her movements precise, each strike a testament to years of training, her body a weapon honed by discipline, her scales shimmering like a nebula, catching the light in a defiant glow. Her golden eyes flicked to Elias, watching his hands dance over wires, sparks flying as he rewired the panel, his focus absolute, his brown eyes steady despite the chaos. The Sylphari whimpered, their forms flickering like candles in a storm, their thoughts dim with panic, their bioluminescence fading. The Voric muttered prayers in its crystalline tongue, its facets dimming further, its hope fading like a dying star. Elias worked, his hands steady despite the heat, the screeches, the air thick with the stench of burning circuits, his apron singed, his face smudged with ash and spice. The narrator's voice swelled, resonant and urgent, its cadence a drumbeat, a call to defiance. In that moment, Elias was no mere Schiff. He was a man who refused to let the universe win, his hands weaving hope from chaos, his heart a quiet fire that burned brighter than any star, a flame that defied the void, a spark that lit the dark. Sparks flew, the panel whined, its circuits groaning under Elias's makeshift repair, the air crackling with static, the hum of the station faltering. With seconds to spare, the blast door groaned open, its mechanisms grinding, a low rumble that shook the floor, a sound of salvation. Vera grabbed his arm, her grip strong but careful, dragging him through as drones lunged, their claws grazing his apron, tearing fabric but not flesh, their screeches a howl of frustration. The survivors stumbled into the next chamber, collapsing as the door sealed behind them, the Clythar screeches muffled into a distant roar, the air heavy with relief, the crystal walls trembling but holding. Vera caught her breath, her chest heaving, her whip still humming in her hand, its runes pulsing faintly, her scales gleaming with sweat, her golden eyes fixed on Elias, who was panting, his apron singed, his brown eyes bright with adrenaline, a faint grin tugging at his lips, a spark of defiance in his gaze, a fire that refused to fade. "You surprised me," she said, her voice heavy with reluctance, her tale still, the words foreign, as if admitting surprise was a crack in her armor, a betrayal of the Zenari code that demanded certainty, a code that had shaped Non for centuries. Her golden eyes searched his face, finding something she didn't understand, a strength that didn't fit her worldview, a fire that burned without consuming, a human who defied her every assumption. Elias wiped sweat from his brow, his grin widening, warm and unassuming, his brown eyes bright with mischief, undeterred by her sharpness. "Good. It keeps life interesting." She tilted her head, her scales catching the dim light, her eyes narrowing as if trying to solve a puzzle, to understand this human who defied her expectations, who saw her in a way no one else had. For a moment, she looked at him, not as a human, not as a curiosity, but as something else, something alive, something that stirred a feeling she'd been taught to suppress, a spark she didn't know how to name. The moment lingered, charged with an unspoken tension, a spark that flickered between them, fragile but undeniable, a fire that warmed the cold of the void. Then she turned away, her tail flicking sharply, her posture regaining its disciplined edge, her whip coiling at her hip, her golden eyes hiding the storm within. The spire limped toward a Zenari outpost, its systems crippled, its corridors littered with debris and the faint glow of emergency lights, their flicker casting jagged shadows on scarred crystal walls, the hum of the station faltering like a dying heartbeat. The air was heavy with the scent of ozone, burned metal, and the faint aroma of Elias's dishes, which lingered like a ghost of hope, a reminder of life in the chaos. Vera and Elias were thrown together, she guarding repair crews with her whip, her presence a shield against the chaos, her golden eyes scanning for threats, her tail flicking with focus. He fixing circuits and cooking meals that kept the survivors' spirits alive. His fusion stove a beacon in the darkness, its burners glowing with the soft hum of fusion coils. His kitchen, set up in a damaged cargo bay, was a haven, its aromas earthy glow fruit, sharp vapor spice, the subtle tang of crystal salt, drawing even the stoic Zenari to its warmth, their tails curling thoughtfully as they approached. He crafted dishes that told stories, a stew that echoed Earth's lost winters, its warmth a memory of snow and hearth, of families huddled around fires in the ruins, a tart that sang of Therian storms, its tartness a spark of defiance, a bite that woke the soul, a bread infused with crystal salt, its crunch a reminder of resilience, of survival against the odds, of life persisting in the face of despair. The survivors ate, and for a moment, the galaxy's weight lifted. Silphari glowed brighter, their thoughts less frantic, their forms swirling with renewed color, their bioluminescence a dance of hope. Vorik hummed softly, their facets catching the light, their chimes softer, less mournful, their crystalline hearts stirred. Even the Zanari, trained to suppress emotion, lingered near Elias's stove, their golden eyes flickering with something like wonder, their tails curling in quiet awe as they tasted his food, their stoic facades cracking under the weight of his flavors. Vera watched, her golden eyes narrowing as she took a bite of his glowfruit stew, its flavor a burst of sweetness and heat that stirred something deep within her, a feeling she didn't understand, a warmth that reached past her training and touched a part of her she'd long buried, a part she'd been taught to silence. "How do you do this?" she asked one evening, her voice low, her tail still as she held a bowl of his stew, its steam rising like a sulfurized thoughts, curling in the air like a promise. "This food, it's more than sustenance. It's alive. It speaks." Elias grinned, stirring a pot of vapor spice broth, the steam curling around his scarred hands, his brown eyes bright with warmth, his apron smudged with the colors of his craft. "It's love, I guess. You put your heart into something, and it speaks to people. Doesn't matter if they're human or Zanari, Silphari or Voric. Food's a language, and I've been speaking it my whole life on Earth, in the ruins out here among the stars. It's how I say what words can't." She scoffed, her tail flicking, but her eyes softened, betraying her. A crack in her armor that widened with each word, each flavor, each moment. "Love is a weakness," she said, her voice sharp but uncertain, her golden eyes searching his face, as if trying to unravel a mystery, to understand this human who saw her in a way no one else had. "It clouds judgment, invites ruin. My people live for centuries, human. We learn to guard our hearts, to live for duty, not desire. To feel is to falter, to love is to break. Maybe," Elias said, meeting her gaze, his voice steady, his brown eyes unwavering, burning with a quiet fire that matched the glow of his stove. "But love's what keeps us going. It's messy, sure, but it's why we fight, why we survive. You've got a heart, Vera fell. I see it. Every time you swing that whip, every time you protect someone, every time you stand your ground. You're not just duty, you're fire. You're alive." Her tail stilled, her eyes widening for a moment, a storm of emotions flickering across her face. Doubt, fear, a dawning realization that this human saw her in a way no one else had, that he saw past her scales, her whip, her duty, to the woman beneath. The narrator's voice softened, its cadence a whisper, a song of awakening. In that moment, Vera felt the weight of her own heart, a thing she'd been taught to silence, a thing she'd buried under centuries of duty. And Elias, with his quiet fire, was beginning to crack the walls she'd built, to kindle a spark she didn't know she carried, a flame that burned with the warmth of his meals, the strength of his heart. Their interactions were a clash of worlds, a dance of opposites that drew them closer with each step, each word, each glance. Vera, raised in a culture that prized discipline and stoicism, found Elias's easy humor and emotional openness baffling, even infuriating, a challenge to everything she'd been taught. To the Zanari, emotions were a liability, a crack in the armor of survival. To feel was to risk, to love was to falter, to invite ruin in a galaxy that punished weakness. Yet Elias wore his heart openly, his laughter a defiance of the galaxy's cruelty, his kindness a weapon that cut through her defenses, sharp as her whip but softer, warmer, more enduring. He, in turn, was captivated by her strength, her grace, the way her scales shimmered like a starry night, each one a tiny mirror of the cosmos, reflecting the light of a universe that both awed and challenged him. But he saw the weight she carried, the loneliness of a maid who served without question, her heart buried under centuries of duty, her golden eyes hiding a hunger no blade could sate, no code could fill. He saw the way her tail curled when she spoke, a subtle dance of emotion she couldn't fully suppress, the way her eyes softened when she thought no one was watching, a glimpse of the woman beneath the warrior, the way her whip moved like an extension of her soul, fierce but precise, a reflection of her heart, a fire she didn't know she carried. One night, in the Spire's observation dome, they found themselves alone, Therian storms swirling below like a cosmic dream, their violet swirls a mirror of the galaxy's chaos and beauty, their patterns a song of creation and destruction. The dome's crystal walls amplified the planet's light, casting their shadows in hues of amethyst and sapphire, their reflections mingling like a promise, a fragile thread in the vastness of the void. The air was cool, the hum of the station distant, the storms below a silent song that seemed to sing of hope and loss, of battles fought and loves found. The narrator's voice softened, warm and intimate, its cadence a lullaby, a whisper of connection. The galaxy was vast, its stars cold and distant, but here, it shrank to two souls, human and Zenari, standing on the edge of something unspoken, something fragile, something alive, a spark that could light the dark. "Why do you care so much?" Vera asked, her voice sharp but threaded with curiosity, her tail curling slowly, a sign of unease, of vulnerability she didn't know how to name, her golden eyes searching his face. "You feed strangers, risk your life for them. Your kind is so fragile. Your lives burn out in a blink. Why bother?" Elias leaned against the dome's railing, his eyes tracing the storms, their violet swirls a mirror of his thoughts, his brown eyes soft but steady, burning with a quiet fire. "Food's my language. Back on Earth, I fed people who'd lost everything. Families, homes, hope. A good meal can make you feel alive, even when the world's falling apart. Out here, it's the same. We're all hungry for something. Food, connection, a reason to keep going. I cook because it's what I've got. It's how I say, you're not alone. It's how I fight the dark, how I keep the fire burning." Vera tilted her head, her scales catching the light like a nebula, her golden eyes searching his face, as if trying to unravel a mystery, to understand this human who saw her in a way no one else had. "My people see emotion as weakness," she said, her voice softer, her tail stilling, a rare sign of vulnerability. "To care so openly, to feel so much, it invites ruin. We live for centuries, human. We learn to guard our hearts, to live for duty, not desire. To feel is to falter, to love is to break." "Maybe," Elias said, meeting her gaze, his voice soft but firm, his brown eyes steady, burning with a quiet fire that matched the glow of his stove, a fire that defied the cold of the stars. "But love's what makes us strong. It's messy, sure, but it's why we fight, why we survive. You don't strike me as someone who gives up, Vera Fell. Duty or not, you've got fire in you. I see it. Every time you swing that whip, every time you protect someone, every time you stand your ground. You're not just a maid. You're alive. And you're burning brighter than you know." Her eyes softened, just for a moment, a crack in her armor that let the light in, a storm of emotions flickering across her face. Doubt, fear, a dawning realization that this human saw her in a way no one else had, that he saw past her scales, her whip, her duty, to the woman beneath, to the heart she'd been taught to silence. "You are strange, Elias Kane," she said, her voice low, almost a whisper, her tail flicking sharply, a storm of emotions hidden behind her disciplined facade. "Reckless, foolish. You speak of things my people forbid, things that could break us." He chuckled, his grin warm, his eyes bright with mischief, undeterred by her sharpness, his heart pounding with a rhythm he didn't fully understand. "And you're not exactly predictable yourself. Bet you've got stories you're not telling, fights you've won, hearts you've guarded, maybe even broken. I'd like to hear them someday, Vera. I'd like to know you." She glanced back, a faint curve to her lips, the closest she'd come to a smile, a crack in her armor that sent a thrill through him, a spark that flickered in the space between them, a fire that warmed the cold of the void. "Keep your surprises, human," she said, her voice low, almost playful, her golden eyes bright with something new, something alive, something that defied centuries of Sonari discipline. "They won't save you." He watched her go, her silhouette framed against the violet storms, her scales shimmering like a starry night, her whip coiled at her hip, her steps silent but heavy with unspoken thoughts. His heart pounded, a rhythm that matched the storms below, a fire that burned brighter with each moment they shared. The narrator's voice warmed, its cadence a knowing whisper, a song of awakening. Elias Kane had cooked for kings and beggars, for survivors and strangers, but never for someone like Vera Fowl, a woman whose strength hid a hunger no blade could cut, no duty could fill. And in her eyes, he saw a spark that matched his own, a fire that could light the stars, a flame that could burn through the void. The Clythar struck again, their bioship a monstrosity that eclipsed the spire, its hull pulsing with bioluminescence, a grotesque mockery of the stars, its weapons tearing through crystal walls like paper, plasma bolts lighting the void like dying suns, their light a fleeting cry against the dark. The station groaned, its crystal spires cracking, its hum faltering as power flickered, the air thick with the stench of ozone and fear, the alarms a wail of despair. Vera led a desperate counterstrike, her whip carving arcs of light through drones, her scales gleaming with defiance, her movements a deadly dance that held the line, each strike a flare of fury and grace, her golden eyes fierce but flickering with glances at Elias, who refused to stay safe in the lower decks, his stubbornness a quiet rebellion against her command. He'd studied the Clythar's biosignals while repairing the ship's comms array, noticing a frequency that pulsed in their hive mind, a rhythm that bound their relentless coordination, a thread he could unravel, a weakness he could exploit. Working feverishly in a maintenance bay, surrounded by sparking consoles and the stench of burning circuits, he rigged the array to emit a disrupting pulse, his hands moving with the same precision he used to craft his dishes, each wire a note in a symphony of defiance, each spark a testament to his stubborn heart. The narrator's voice grew urgent, its cadence a drumbeat, a call to battle, a song of defiance. Elias Kane was no warrior, but he fought with the tools he had, wits, wires, and a heart that burned brighter than any star. His hands moved like they did over his stove, precise, purposeful, turning chaos into creation, weaving hope from the ashes of despair, kindling a fire that defied the void. The pulse fired, a low hum that rippled through the ship, a vibration that shook the crystal walls, a song of defiance that echoed in the void, a sound that broke the Clythar's unity. The drones faltered, their movements scattering in disarray, their hive mind fractured like glass, their screeches turning to chaos, a discordant wail that spoke of defeat. Vera's team seized the advantage, her whip slicing through the chaos, her scales a beacon of defiance in the flickering light, her golden eyes fierce but soft when they met Elias's, who stood at the console, his hands steady, his apron singed, his face lit by the glow of the array, his brown eyes burning with a fire that matched her own. But victory came at a cost. Elias had exposed himself to reroute power for the pulse, climbing into a damaged conduit to bypass a fried relay, his body silhouetted against the sparking wires, a lone figure against the chaos, a spark against the dark. A plasma bolt struck him, a searing flash of light that sent him crumpling to the deck, his apron scorched, blood pooling beneath him, his toolbox clattering to the floor, its tools scattering like stars, each one a piece of his defiance, his heart. Vera reached him first, her whip falling silent as she knelt, her hands trembling as she checked his pulse, her golden eyes wide with fear she'd never allowed herself to feel, her scales dimming with a panic she couldn't name, her heart racing with a rhythm she'd been taught to silence. His breath was shallow, his eyes fluttering, his face pale under the smudges of ash and spice, his grin faint but stubborn, a spark that refused to fade. The narrator's voice grew heavy, its tone a lament, a requiem for a moment that broke the galaxy. In that moment, Vera saw not a weak human, not a mere shift, but a man who'd risked everything. For her, for them all. Her world, built on duty and strength, cracked like crystal under a hammer, and something new stirred in its place. Something forbidden, something alive, something that burned with a fire she couldn't deny, a fire that matched her own. "Why?" she whispered, her voice breaking, her scales dimming further, her hands hovering over him, afraid to touch, afraid to lose, her golden eyes wet with something she didn't understand, something her training forbade. "Why did you do this, you foolish human?" Elias's eyes opened, his voice a rasp, barely audible over the distant alarms, the fading screeches of the Clythar, the hum of the station's dying systems. "Because you're worth it, all of you. Her golden eyes widened, a storm of emotions flickering across her face. Shock, guilt, a dawning realization that this human, this soft, fleeting creature, had changed her, had broken her in a way no blade could, had reached past her armor and touched her soul, had kindled a fire she didn't know she carried. Her hand lingered on his, her scales cool against his fevered skin, and for the first time, she felt the weight of her own heart, unguarded, raw, beating with a rhythm she'd been taught to silence, a rhythm that matched his own, a rhythm that sang of love. The narrator's voice softened, its cadence a whisper of hope, a song of awakening. In that moment, Vera Thal, maid of the Starlance household, felt the galaxy shift. A human had broken her, not with strength, but with sacrifice, with a heart that burned brighter than her wick's flame, a heart that saw her as more than duty, more than a warrior, a heart that saw her as alive. The spire reached the Zenari outpost, its survivors battered but alive, the station a limping relic of its former glory, its crystal walls scarred but unbroken, its spire still catching Therion's light in a defiant glow, a testament to resilience. Elias recovered in a med bay, tended by alien healers who marveled at his resilience, their scanners baffled by the stubbornness of human biology, muttering about the impossibility of his survival, their voices a mix of awe and disbelief, their golden eyes wide with wonder. Vera visited daily, her ceremonial uniform replaced by softer Zenari silks, their sapphire hue mirroring her scales, their fabric whispering against her skin, a symbol of the walls she was beginning to shed, the heart she was beginning to embrace. Her demeanor was softer, her words laced with a warmth she didn't fully understand, a vulnerability she'd never allowed, a fire that flickered in her golden eyes, a spark that matched the glow of Elias's stove. They spoke for hours, about Earth's chaotic beauty, its lost cities where skyscrapers crumbled into dust, its street food smoky with the memory of survival, its people who clung to hope in the ruins, their fires a defiance of the dark, about Sinar's rigid harmony, its crystal seas that sang under twin moons, its warriors who lived for centuries but rarely lived for themselves, their hearts bound by codes older than the stars, their lives a dance of duty and sacrifice. They found common ground in their defiance, in the way they bent the rules of their worlds to protect what mattered, in the scars they carried. His on his hands, hers in her heart, both a map of battles fought and won, of fires kindled and kept. One evening, as Elias recovered, his strength returning like a slow tide, his hands restless despite their bandages, his brown eyes bright with mischief, he cooked for her. A simple dish of glow fruit and vapor spice, its aroma filling the med bay like a promise, like a memory of home, like a song of hope. The dish was a story, the sweetness of Earth's forgotten orchards, the bite of Therion's storms, the salt of survival, each flavor a note in a symphony of hope, a melody that crossed the boundaries of worlds. Vera hesitated, her training warning her against indulgence, against feeling, against the vulnerability that came with taste, with connection, with the act of accepting a gift from a human's heart. But she took a bite, her golden eyes widening, her tail curling slowly, a gesture of trust, of surrender, of something deeper. "This is alive," she said, her voice soft, almost reverent, as if the flavor had reached past her armor and touched her soul, as if it had spoken to her in a language she didn't know she understood, a language of warmth, of connection, of love. "Like you." Elias grinned, leaning back, his brown eyes bright with mischief, his heart full despite the pain in his chest, his scars a map of his defiance. "Told you, food's magic. That's how we talk without words. What's it saying to you?" She paused, her tail stilling, her eyes meeting his, their golden glow soft with something new, something alive, something that burned brighter than her wick's flame. "It says you see me, not the maid, not the warrior. Me." He nodded, his grin softening, his voice low, warm with a quiet certainty, a fire that matched her own. "Good, because I do, and I'm not going anywhere." She laughed, a rare, musical sound that echoed like the crystal seas of her homeworld, a sound that made his heart skip, a sound that felt like home in a way he hadn't known since Earth, a sound that sang of hope, of connection, of love. The narrator's voice warmed, its cadence a melody, a song of connection, a hymn of awakening. In that moment, they were no longer just human and Zanari. They were two souls, finding each other in the vastness of the stars. Their differences a bridge, not a wall. Their hearts a fire that burned brighter together. A flame that could light the void. A spark that could defy the dark. The final Clythar assault came as the outpost prepared to evacuate. A desperate bid to escape Therion's orbit before the enemy's remnants regrouped. Their bioships gathering like storm clouds on the horizon. Their hulls pulsing with a malevolent light. Vera and Elias stood side by side, her whip flashing like a comet's tail, its arcs of light cutting through drones with lethal precision, her scales gleaming with defiance, her golden eyes fierce but soft when they met his, a fire that burned with trust and love. His ingenuity turned the outpost's defenses into a trap, a web of signals and pulses that disrupted the Clythar's hive mind, his hands moving with the same precision he used to craft his dishes. Each wire a note in a symphony of survival, each spark a testament to his stubborn heart. They worked as one, her strength and his cunning a perfect balance, their movements synchronized like a dance, a partnership forged in fire and trust, in sacrifice and hope. He'd modified the comms array again, amplifying the disruptive pulse to cripple the Clythar's bioship, his hands steady despite the chaos, his apron singed but his spirit unbroken. His brown eyes burning with a fire that matched her own. In the chaos, as drones swarmed and plasma bolts lit the sky like dying stars, Vera took his hand, her scales cool against his skin, her grip fierce, her golden eyes burning with a fire that matched his own, her tail curling around his leg in a Zanari gesture of trust, of connection, of love. "If we survive this," she said, her voice steady but raw, vulnerable in a way she'd never allowed. Her heart laid bare in the face of the void, her golden eyes bright with a fire that burned through centuries of discipline. "I would know you, Elias Kane, not as a maid, not as a warrior. Ask me." Elias squeezed her hand, his heart racing, his grin bright despite the chaos, the danger, the weight of the galaxy pressing down, his brown eyes burning with a fire that matched her own. "Deal, but you're trying my next recipe first. No arguments. I'm thinking crystal salt bread with a glow fruit glaze. Something to make your scales shine." She laughed, her eyes bright with a fire that matched his own. A fire that burned through centuries of Zanari discipline. A fire that defied the cold of the stars. A fire that sang of love and hope. They fought, not just for survival but for each other, for the promise of a moment beyond the battle. A moment where they could be more than their roles, more than their worlds, where they could be alive together. The narrator's voice soared, its cadence a triumphant hymn, a song of defiance and hope, a melody that echoed in the stars. A human and a Zanari, side by side, proving that courage and love could outshine the stars, that a heart could be a weapon, a meal a revolution, a touch a bridge across the void, a spark that could light the dark. The battle raged, the outpost's defenses groaning under the Clythar's relentless assault, crystal walls cracking, plasma bolts searing the air, the hum of the station faltering like a dying heartbeat. Elias's pulse fired, a deep hum that shook the station, shattering the bioship's hive mind, sending its drones into chaos, their screeches turning to discord, their movements a fractured dance. Vera's whip carved through the stragglers, her movements a symphony of precision and fury, her scales a beacon in the dark, her golden eyes fierce but soft when they met his, a fire that burned with love and trust. The bioship fractured, its fragments raining like meteors across Therion's atmosphere, lighting the violet storms with streaks of fire, a cosmic pyre that marked the end of the battle, a testament to their defiance. The outpost held, its crystal walls scarred but unbroken, and the survivors cheered, their voices a cacophony of relief and awe, Silphari glowing, Vorik chiming, Zanari tails curling in respect, their eyes on Elias, the human who had turned the tide, the chef who had become a legend. The Concord took notice, their neural networks buzzing with whispers of the battle, of the human who had defied the odds, of the chef who had fought with wires and heart, who had fed the galaxy and saved it in the same breath. Humanity, once dismissed as a fleeting curiosity, now carried a whisper of respect, a murmur that spread through the spice bazaars of Silphra, the crystal halls of Vorik Prime, the castle chambers of the Concord, where diplomats spoke of Elias Kane in hushed tones, their voices a mix of awe and disbelief. His name was no longer just a Schiff's. It was Starschiff, a title that spread like wildfire, a legend born in the heat of battle and the warmth of his kitchen, a story that echoed in the songs of crystal seas and the whispers of distant stars. His dishes became myth, each one a testament to a species that refused to fade, each flavor a story of resilience and hope, a bridge between worlds, a language that spoke to hearts across the galaxy. But for Elias, the victory was not in the fame, not in the whispers of alien tongues, but in the quiet moments after moments with Vera, who stood by his side, her scales a mirror of the stars, her hand in his, her golden eyes soft with a warmth that matched his own, a fire that burned brighter together. Months later, they stood on a Zanari cliffside, overlooking a sea of liquid crystal that sang under twin moons, its surface rippling with melodies that echoed the galaxy's pulse, each note a story of survival and sacrifice, of courage and connection, of love that defied the void. Vera wore no uniform, her scales shimmering in the moonlight, free of the weight of duty, her golden eyes soft with a warmth she'd once feared, a fire she'd learned to embrace, a light that burned with love. Elias wore a Zanari tunic, its sapphire fabric a gift from her people, who had embraced him as one of their own, their tails curling in respect when he passed, their voices soft with awe when they spoke his name, their golden eyes bright with wonder. His fusion stove sat nearby, its burners glowing softly, its aroma drawing curious Zanari, who tasted his dishes, glow fruit stews, vapor spice tarts, crystal salt breads, and marveled at their warmth, their stories, their magic, their ability to speak to hearts across species, across stars, across the vastness of the void. Vera held a bowl of his latest creation, a dish that blended Earth's lost spices with Zanari crystal fruit, its flavor a bridge between their worlds, a symphony of sweet and sharp that lingered on the tongue, a song of connection, a melody of love. She savored it, her eyes soft, her tail curling slowly, a gesture of trust, of surrender, of a heart laid bare. "You've changed everything," she said, her hand finding his, her scales cold but her touch warm, a connection that defied centuries of Zanari tradition, a fire that burned through the cold of the stars, a light that illuminated the void, a love that rewrote the galaxy's story. "I thought your kind weak, your heart a liability. I was wrong. You are a fire I didn't expect, Elias Kane. A light I didn't know I needed. A warmth I didn't know I could feel. A heart I didn't know I could trust." Elias grinned, his eyes bright with mischief, his heart full, his scars a map of the battles he'd fought, the meals he'd crafted, the love he'd found in the vastness of the galaxy, a fire that burned brighter with her by his side. "Told you I'm full of surprises. Wait till you try my dessert. It's got a kick even you might not handle. Crystal fruit sorbet with a vapor spice twist. Think you're ready?" She laughed, the sound like music, like the crystal seas singing below, like the hum of a starship breaking free of gravity, a sound that filled his heart with a warmth he hadn't known since Earth, a warmth that felt like home, a warmth that sang of love. She leaned closer, her forehead touching his, her scales catching the moonlight, her golden eyes bright with a fire that matched his own, a fire that burned through centuries of discipline, through the void of the stars, to the cold of the galaxy. The galaxy spun on, vast and uncaring, its stars cold and distant, but they were enough. Their hands entwined, their breaths mingling, they stood as one, human and Zanari, chef and maid, two souls who had found each other in the chaos of the stars, who had built a bridge across the void with courage, kindness, and a shared hunger for something more, something true, something alive. The narrator's voice closed, warm and final, its cadence a lullaby for the galaxy, a song that echoed in the crystal seas and the whispers of distant stars, a melody that carried their story into the void. In a universe that measured strength by steel and starfire, one human proves that valor lies in the heart, in the act of feeding another, of risking everything for a stranger's smile, of loving across the vastness of the stars. And in loving him, a maid found her own light, a fire that would burn across the galaxy, a flame that no void could extinguish, a story that would live in the songs of crystal seas, in the whispers of alien tongues, in the hearts of those who tasted the magic of a human's heart, in the love that defied the stars.